people prefer to call it spiritual companioning or spiritual guidance. Others talk about having a spiritual guide who walks with them. So really, it's all talking about the same thing, though. It's really talking about someone who accompanies you on your journey to a greater intimacy and relationship with the divine.
Yeah, and I think that it would be important to say some people think this is kind of a new thing, but actually it's been around for a long, long time. And you could call Jesus maybe the first spiritual director, or the Buddha, or you could, from whatever faith tradition, I think, the idea and the practice of spiritual companionship, spiritual guidance, spiritual accompaniment has been there. And those who want to go a little more deeply into that relationship with God usually do seek out someone to walk with them during that process. So it's not something just new. It's been around for a lot of years.
It certainly has. And I love the title that in Gaelic, the Anam Cara.
Yes.
My soul friend. And I think that's just so beautiful, because that really is oftentimes what this relationship is, because the director and the directee are both on the same journey of coming to a deeper relationship with God. So I love that, Anam Cara.
Yes, and truly, I think most spiritual directors will say that it's the Holy Spirit who's the true spiritual director, and the both people, the director and the directee, are there listening for that movement of the Holy Spirit in the person who is seeking direction, seeking companionship. So really, it's a listening process for both. And the spiritual director is really there to pay attention, in the best sense of that word, to listen, to ask questions, to draw out, to encourage the person when there are these movements or experiences of God in the person's life, and they're always there.
Yeah, I think one of the things you say is key, and it is about listening. It's about the director listening to what the directee is saying, and vice versa. It's about the directee listening always for however God is speaking. And I think what the director often where the director is often helpful is the director helps the directee to see where God is in the everyday. Because we so often think that God is coming to us in some extraordinary circumstances of life. And yes, God can come to us in extraordinary circumstances of life. But for most of us, it's the everyday. And I think the director often helps one to, as you say, become aware. This is God's action. Where was God? God was in the everyday. God is in the activity of my family, in the activity with my friends. God is in the nature around me. God is in my innermost being when I'm quiet. And God is in the chaos. And God is in the joy, and God is in the sorrow. But I think so often, I know for myself, so often I'm not as aware of all of that as I might be. And that's where, in my personal experience of spiritual direction, my director helps me to see that.
Yes, I would say that that's very true for me too, that the spiritual director will often, well, for me, I think God's movement is often very subtle. And occasionally there might be something big, but mostly it's very subtle. And so the spiritual director really encourages me and helps me to pause and to, I would like the word savor, because I so often just kind of, life goes so fast and I'm rushing here and rushing there. And even in my prayer, I don't always slow down enough to really savor those experiences of God, or to even sometimes notice them. And so when I go for spiritual direction, it really is a time. And the spiritual director will often catch me and say, "No, now go back to that and listen to what's happening here," or that kind of a thing. So it really helps me to savor, appreciate, and be thankful for the movement of God in life, in all of life.
Yes, and we're talking about finding God in the ordinary, in the everyday, and I think sometimes people come to us for spiritual direction when there's some sort of crisis in their life, when there's a real difficulty in their life, when there's some trauma of some sort that they've experienced, whether it be a broken relationship, the passing of someone they've loved, sometimes just a crisis of faith, feeling as if it's hard for them to believe. So people come for spiritual direction. They enter it in a variety of different ways. But one of the things I think is really important is to remember that spiritual direction is not counseling, and it certainly is not, you're not seeing a psychiatrist. You're seeing someone whose purpose is to help you come in touch with the divine and the sacred within. And I think it's important to make that distinction, even though you may enter spiritual direction at a time when there is some sort of trauma or upheaval in your life.